Good afternoon. It's Wednesday, the 3rd of June. I'm Erin Viner. This is IBA News broadcasting from Jerusalem. We open with the overwhelming vote by the British National Union of Students to boycott Israeli companies and align itself with the boycott, divestment and sanctions movement. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu slammed the union and pointed out that this is the same group which voted against boycotting the Islamic State less than a year ago. IBA's Eli Wogelenter brings us this report.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu slammed the British National Union of Students today at the start of a meeting with Canadian Foreign Minister Rob Nicholson.
As an example, a national student group in Britain voted to support a boycott of Israel. This is less than a year after they refused to support a boycott of ISIS. They boycott Israel, but they refuse to boycott ISIS. That tells you everything you want to know about the BDS movement.
The motion by Britain's student unions, a confederation of 600 student unions across the United Kingdom, condemned Israel's military presence in the West Bank and Gaza. At a meeting of its National Executive Council, the group passed the move by a vote of 19 to 12 with 3 abstentions. An amendment within the motion calling for a boycott of Israeli companies and affiliating with the BDS movement also passed by a vote of 19 to 14 with 3 abstentions. Deputy UK Ambassador to Israel Rob Dixon said that the British government vehemently opposes calls to boycott Israel. We are deeply committed to promoting trade and business ties with Israel as part of the prosperous partnership between the two countries. And Dixon added that Britain will never let those who want to boycott Israel to impede a 60-year partnership that does so much to strengthen both countries. The students' vote comes on the heels of a report released Friday by the Anti-Defamation League, which showed that campuses across the U.S. have seen a significant rise in anti-Israel and anti-Semitic activities. The watchdog group said it recorded 520 anti-Israel events on American campuses during the 2014-2015 academic year, an increase by 38% over last year. It also recorded 29 student-led BDS campaigns, which involved anti-Semitic vandalism and graffiti, double that of the previous year. ADL National Director Abraham Foxman said that while the vast majority of Jewish students report feeling safe on their campuses, the incidents reported at certain schools are disturbing and must be proactively addressed. Toward that end, casino billionaire Sheldon Adelson will host a private meeting in Las Vegas this weekend in a bid to counteract the anti-Israel activity on college campuses. The meeting will be attended by Jewish philanthropists and organizations, including Hollywood entertainment tycoon Chaim Saban. Among the Jewish organizations slated to attend are Hillel, Stand With Us, the ADL, and the Jewish Federations of North America. Eli Wogelenter, IBA News.
In reaction to the latest developments, the Knesset today convened for a special emergency session to discuss ways of combating the increasing anti-Israel sentiment pervading Europe, including the rise of international support of the Palestinian-led boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement, deemed by MKs to be a strategic threat against the state. The diplomatic flurry of activity aimed at reviving the peace process between Israel and the Palestinians continued today with the arrival of Canadian Foreign Minister Rob Nicholson. On the first of his 2-day visit to the region, Nicholson held talks with Prime Minister Netanyahu, President Reuven Rivlin, and Deputy Foreign Minister Tzipi Hotovely. During his meetings with the government leaders before heading to the West Bank, the Canadian diplomat stressed his nation's unwavering support for the State of Israel, as well as the need to resume talks with the Palestinians. For his part, Rivlin urged Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas to return to the negotiating table.
This is my first trip to Israel here, and of course I'm here to demonstrate emphatically Canada's unwavering support for Israel. Prime Minister Harper has made this very clear, that we recognize Israel as a friend, a nation which shares core values, and a beacon of democracy in a region of repression and instability. We understand that Israel's neighborhood is as dangerous as Canada's is peaceful. And so we know that Israel's leadership has no choice but to take at all times every step necessary to protect itself from the forces that are openly committed to its destruction.
Unfortunately, the president of the Palestinian people, Mahmoud Abbas, my friend Abu Mazen, my friend and my opponent, he's trying to go and to really not to get back to the negotiating table, because he would like to use all the institutions from all over the world, whether we are talking on the ICC or whether we are talking about the United Nations, and instead of coming to us and trying to start and to solve the problem.
Response has been mixed to the televised interview between U.S. President Barack Obama and Channel 2 journalist Ilana Dayan broadcast last night. Opposition leader Isaac Herzog accused Prime Minister Netanyahu of harming relations with Washington following Obama's comment that there is a danger of Israel losing credibility in the international community, which doesn't believe that it is serious about a two-state solution. Herzog characterized the American president's remarks as indicative of a severe break in bilateral ties. Netanyahu's former foreign minister, Israel Beitenu chief Avigdor Lieberman, also lashed out his former boss, saying that the premier conducts poor public diplomacy, known as hasbara in Hebrew, and he should have pursued a more aggressive strategy against Gaza and Hezbollah, as well as on the Palestinian front. Today commemorates the one-year anniversary of the deaths of the three teenagers, Naftali Frankel, Gilad Sharon, Eyal Yifrach, who were brutally murdered by Palestinian terrorists shortly after being abducted last year. School children and organizations across the country took part in unity-themed gatherings and lectures, and dozens of events are also set to take place in Jewish communities around the world. The bereaved families of the victims say that they felt a genuine sense of solidarity over this past year as they were comforted by people from all sectors of society who put aside all differences. They said that it was a joint decision to promote Jewish unity and will themselves devote themselves to raising awareness of its significance as to reflect the legacy of their lost sons. As part of those efforts, the first annual Jerusalem Unity Prize will be awarded later this evening to individuals and organizations who work to advance that concept. Earlier today, IBA's Aryeh O'Sullivan discussed the awards with Daniel Goldman, who is the chairman of the Gesher organization aimed at bridging societal gaps. We'll try to bring that to you a little later in the program. Moving to what is a remarkable story of recovery, the 47-year-old kibbutz resident who was seriously wounded by a Hamas rocket fire during last summer's Operation Protective Edge has been elected as the new head of the Eshkol Regional Council. Gadi Yarkoni lost both of his legs after being hit on the last of the 50-day conflict with Gaza just hours before the implementation of the ceasefire that brought the fighting to an end. At the time, he was serving as Secretary General of his kibbutz, Nirim, and was forced to take a leave of absence to recuperate. Over the past year, Yarkoni has achieved tremendous progress, and doctors who at first weren't certain that he would even survive hailed his recovery as miraculous. The latest council elections were called after the former director, Chaim Yalin, resigned his post when he became a Knesset member of the Yesh Atid party. The Palestinian Return Center is threatening to sue the Israeli government over claims that officials linked the Britain-based group to Hamas. The allegations follow Israel's condemnation of the decision by the United Nations Committee on Non-Governmental Organizations to grant the PRC observer status, giving it full access to UN facilities and the ability to participate in debates. Israel, the United States, and the European Union have officially designated Hamas as a terrorist group. Even though the office of Hamas Prime Minister Ismail Haniyeh announced that he called to congratulate the PRC on its new UN status, a spokesman for the NGO denies receiving that call, but the announcement currently remains on the Hamas website. The same UN committee has for the past 3 years repeatedly rejected a similar request for membership from Zaka, Israel's voluntary emergency response and rescue service. United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon is again appealing for the immediate revival of the peace process between Israel and the Palestinians. He made his latest call on the 65th anniversary of the founding of the UN's Relief and Works Agency that was created in 1949 to help Arab Palestinians who fled the country after Israel was reestablished the previous year. While speaking at a UN conference marking the anniversary, Ban said that UNRWA was never meant to function for all these years, and that it only still exists because of political failure. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry has undergone successful surgery on his broken leg, and doctors expect that he will be up and walking within days. The The 71-year-old top American diplomat was injured during a biking accident in the French Alps last week on the sidelines of Iranian nuclear talks in Geneva. With less than a month to go until the deadline to reach a deal with Tehran over its atomic development program, the State Department says that Kerry's injury is not likely to hamper progress at the negotiations.
John, it is correct that Secretary Kerry has undergone surgery today on his injury that he suffered as a result of that bike accident this weekend. I think anybody who has spent any time around Secretary Kerry will know that he will approach his recuperation and rehabilitation with uncommon zeal. And I would anticipate that any expectations that we have for the timeline for his recovery, that he's going to work really hard to shorten it. And that's because he believes that he's got a lot on his plate, and he does. And it's too early to say what impact his injury will have on the broader negotiations. The thing that I'm confident is true and will continue to be true is that he will play a leading role in our efforts to try to complete these negotiations by the end of June.
Many in the sports world were stunned by the sudden resignation of FIFA President Sepp Blatter amid the widening corruption scandal engulfing his organization. Blatter made the announcement at a hastily called press conference in Zurich just 4 days after he was re-elected to his 5th term and just 2 days after American prosecutors indicted several FIFA officials on corruption charges. There are now reports that Blatter is also being targeted by the FBI, and today the European Interpol police agency issued international red notice arrest warrants for 6 additional men with ties to the International Soccer Federation on charges of racketeering, bribe-taking, and other illegal activity. Blatter says that he will step down as soon as there is a new leader.
I will call an extraordinary Congress and put at disposal my function. It is going to be held as soon as possible, and a new president will be elected to follow me as the new president. I will continue to exercise my function as president of FIFA until the new elections are going to be held.
The government of Thailand is threatening to prevent its citizens from working in Israel following reports of substandard employment conditions and an unusually high number of deaths. Leaders from both countries are currently conducting high-level talks in efforts to resolve the developing crisis. We get more in this report from IBA's Dennis Zinn.
The headdress and face covering of the Thai workers in Israel has over the years become a well-known sight. In fact, the vast majority of the country's agricultural crops are produced with the help of the Thai workforce. But Thailand is threatening to stop all this due to a recent report by the international New York-based Human Rights Watch.
A lot of them felt cheated. A lot of them felt that they were working very long hours and not being paid accordingly, and they were being cheated on overtime and very high prices for the food. So that was their main complaint.
A most worrying section of the report deals with an unexpected death syndrome. Over the last 4 years, 66 Thai workers have died unexpectedly. Human Rights Watch indicates that this may be due to harsh work and living conditions.
Before he store, they put in chemical and motor and everything broken, he keep inside.
The farmer would usually just let the workers live in the cheapest place he can find. His old packaging house, his old warehouse, his old chicken houses. It's usually in the backyard of every big villa in every village.
The Israeli employers dismissed the allegations as completely baseless, saying that the Thai salaries are above the Israeli minimum wage and that the living conditions are better than many of the workers have back at home in Thailand.
The farmer will shut their field and shut their business if they don't have workers. And only foreign workers come to work in agriculture. So we have to treat them as our guests and to take care of them.
Nonetheless, the director of the Israeli Immigration Authority, Amnon Ben-Ami, flew to Bangkok to hold talks with his Thai counterpart, Samet Mahosot. They decided that all Thai workers will undergo comprehensive medical checks before leaving for Israel. that Israel will cooperate with the Thai Narcotics Bureau to strengthen the prevention of drug use amongst the Thai workers, that further discussions will be held concerning taxation issues, and lastly, that a joint commission will be set up to promote and ensure good working conditions. News of these understandings were received positively by the farming communities in Israel because they said, if there are no Thai workers, there'll be no more agriculture. Dennis Zinn, IBA News.
In efforts to help reduce cost of living expenses, Cofix has opened up a new chain of supermarkets. After stirring up the local coffee market by selling drinks and sandwiches for just 5 shekels, the company will now sell a wide variety of food and household items for that same fixed price. That's right, 5 shekels. The first of 5 Super Cofix stores in the center of the country opened its doors in the Florentine neighborhood of Tel Aviv yesterday, drawing a large crowd of eager customers. The wide variety of brand name merchandise includes specially designed small packages by several leading manufacturers, alongside products from other privately owned firms. Cofix founder Avi Katz said that the new chain redefines the concept of discount packaging because the more modest quantities appeal to shoppers who don't want to buy in bulk, including city dwellers, young bachelors, and senior citizens who don't wish to buy extra merchandise at higher prices and then later have to throw away much of what's left over because of spoilage. If the pilot stores prove to be successful, another 20 branches are slated to open nationwide in the near future. Young families seeking to escape the high cost of living are rediscovering an alternative to the intensity of urban life by moving to dozens of the country's kibbutzim. After suffering years of economic failure, the small collective communities are currently experiencing a major turnaround. We get more about the revival of the communal enterprise from reporter Alexandra Jen.
What goes around comes around. What were once the wheels of scooters and wheelchairs are now the wheels of bicycles, strollers, and action. After suffering a decades-long struggle due to the financial crisis of the 80s and a wave of youth who left their close-knit communities in pursuit of the capitalist dream, the country's kibbutzim are now making a comeback. Under the lure of less expensive housing, young parents, many of whom were kibbutz born, are enjoying the safe community feel of kibbutzim with their children once again.
The kibbutz is changing during last 20 or 30 years. He is now more individualistic, less socialistic in a way, closer to the capitalist way of life, but still remain his high level of communality and of mutual responsibility between members. And the young generation is attracted to that way of life.
Here at the very first kibbutz, Degania Aleph, established in 1910, excited families welcomed 11 newborns to the community, the most they've seen in 25 years. During celebrations for Shavuot, children watched performances, rode in tractors, and danced to the music of the Harvest Festival. Now, almost a century later, a new generation of kibbutzniks are reviving the cycle of life with a youthful revolution.
The impact of coming back of young people, mainly kibbutz-born children, to the kibbutz is tremendous. They are taking roles that their parents are not doing anymore because they are start to begin older and older. They are reviving, they are bringing with them many children, their own children, and the children's houses are full again.
In the past, jobs inside the kibbutzim were largely assigned to the residents themselves, providing employees a monthly allowance. Today, members may choose their own profession and earn their own wages, only a portion of which may go back into the kibbutz. However, some remain loyal to the work of the commune and help to run institutions like restaurants or harvest crops on the land. But it's the appeal of safe living quarters and a tight-knit community where families contribute to a greater cause that is breathing life back into kibbutzim. Furthermore, the escalating cost of living and housing is certainly drawing young families back to their stomping grounds.
It is economical and the houses are cheaper. It's cheaper to buy here in the periphery of Israel a house and a land than to buy in the center, which is impossible.
No matter the reason, many families are choosing to live in these settlements over other housing options. And once again, life in the kibbutz is thriving. Alexandra Jen for IBA News.
Get your bookmarks ready. The 54th Annual Hebrew Book Week opens tonight, with fairs being held at nearly 50 locations across the country. Over 100 publishers are taking part this year, offering significant discounts on new releases, bestsellers, and beloved classics. On the sidelines of the sales, there will be a variety of literary events for the entire family, including get-togethers with authors, lectures, group readings, and even arts and crafts. Major events will be held at Tel Aviv's Rabin Square and the Liberty Bell Park in Jerusalem. For other cities, you can check your local listings. The 10-day event will run until the 13th of June. In local finance, the shekel today lost strength against all major foreign currencies, while share prices in the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange were up across the board. Here's a look at the afternoon numbers. The IBA weather team says we're going to have a beautiful day tomorrow with fair skies and significantly slightly cooler temperatures. Here's the forecast at home and abroad over the next 24 hours. Thank you for being with us this afternoon. We hope you'll join us again tomorrow, same time, same channel, when I'll be back to bring you the latest breaking news from Israel. I'm Erin Viner, wishing you a great evening and shalom from Jerusalem.